It's been a big week for AI filmmakers. There's some brand new tools that allow you to have more control over your AI animations. The first copyright clean video model that's actually pretty good is here. We're going to take an inside look. A big studio is using AI to dub feature films, and there are a ton of AI feature film announcements. This is your AI film news of the week. Okay, friends, there is a lot of news that we need to get to this week. Let's hop in. The first big update that I think you should know about is an update to Hedra. So if you're not already familiar, Hedra is an AI character animation tool that basically allows you to control the movement of your characters. Now, the thing that makes this unique from other AI animation tools like Runway Act 1 is simply the fact that Hedra basically animates your character automatically. So you can either upload an image or upload a video, add in the audio that you want to animate, and it will automatically animate that character. And it's pretty cool because this tool will actually animate the body movement and the face and the head tilts and all of the more dynamic expressions that you would want from an animated character. So for example, we have this podcast example here, and you can see this guy is podcasting. A lot of the movement looks pretty darn natural. I think at a quick glance, I would never guess that this is AI generated. We also came across this example from Justine Moore, where she basically uploaded an image and then prompted in the speech and the movement at the same time, and you basically get the mermaid character talking here. And then we have this example from Tom Likes Robots over on X, where they basically uploaded a Suno song and used Midjourney for the image reference, and it basically animated this character singing, and it actually looks pretty good. A lot of the movements look fairly natural, and I think it did a really good job. To use this new feature, just go to Hedra's website and click video at the top. You will need to create an account, which is no problem at all. And go ahead and make sure you selected Hedra Character 3, and we'll go ahead and click Upload Image, and basically you have to affirm that you have the rights to use that image. So go ahead and click Upload Image. And for our example, we're going to use this image of this warrior here. We'll go ahead and upload her there. And for audio, we're going to go ahead and use this audio here. We generated it inside of 11 Labs. Let's go ahead and listen.
For generations, I have protected my family's secret. There's no way I'm giving it up now.
Okay, cool. When you're ready to move forward, just go ahead and click Use Audio and go ahead and click Generate. So without any text prompting whatsoever, this is the result from our first generation.
For generations, I have protected my family's secret. There's no way I'm giving it up now.
Okay, so it's not bad. Obviously, it's not as good as a human performance, but it's getting there. It actually looks pretty good considering there was no text prompting whatsoever. I also wanted to do a second experiment where I typed in the prompt, "Woman looks directly at the camera, a fierce look of anger in her eyes," and I generated the exact same clip, and here's the result.
For generations, I have protected my family's secret. There's no way I'm giving it up now.
Okay, again, not as good as a human performance, but you can see it's beginning to pick up on some of those directorial directions that we're giving the character. And then finally, we wanted to go in the opposite direction, and so we asked the woman to smile while she talks, and here was the result.
For generations, I have protected my family's secret. There's no way I'm giving it up now.
That's a pretty demented smile, but it actually kind of fits the audio, so a pretty decent job there. So I wanted to do a similar test with an animation aesthetic, and so I have this picture of this man and basically wanted to upload some audio. And our first test is with no prompting whatsoever. This is the result.
Wow, is that guy seriously riding a zebra down the street? Or am I just seeing things?
Okay, so as you can see, it's fairly expressive. Obviously, I think the background needs a little bit of animation to give the scene a little life, but not that bad. Now, I wanted to test the limits of what you actually could direct. And so I went in and prompted for the cartoon man points to the right as he talks. So he's trying to like point towards the zebra. And this is the result.
Wow, is that guy seriously riding a zebra down the street? Or am I just seeing things?
Okay, so as you can see, it didn't really understand pointing. We did see the hand kind of raise a few times, which does help to kind of sell the overall kind of pointing movement, but it's not exactly what we prompted in, but very close. And then finally, I wanted to do a last test here where the man basically brings his hands up to his head with an expression of shock, you know, like, oh my gosh, there's a zebra. And this is the result.
Wow, is that guy seriously riding a zebra down the street? Or am I just seeing things?
Okay, so you can see that it didn't really understand any of that extra prompted movement, probably because it actually can't see the arms and so it doesn't really know what information to bring forward, but I actually did like the face animation on that take. So again, similar to other AI tools, it kind of gives you different takes and you may have to generate a few times to get exactly what you're looking for. And speaking of Hedra, they also have a few other announcements. The first is text to video. The second is audio to video. And they also have integrated a bunch of AI image generators directly into their tool. To do that, all you have to do is go to the image tab at the top, and then we'll say a cinematic live action shot of a woman running from a dinosaur in the jungle. We'll do Flux 1.1 Ultra, which is a pretty decent model. And it generated this result. Which is a woman whose head is inside of like a velociraptor, or is that a T-Rex's head? So no idea what's going on here. And even still, that's too many fingers again. So not the best result from Flux here, but one of my favorite results that I've seen in a while. Next up, we have a big announcement from Luma. So the team at Luma has introduced Luma Ray 2 keyframes along with the ability to extend and loop video footage. All you have to do is log into Luma Dream Machine. You'll find a link below this video and go ahead and click on Start Keyframe. So we're going to select our first image here. You see we have this picture of this like cottage and it's like foggy outside. So we'll bring in that image and then go ahead and select End Frame and we will select this second image here. And the idea is basically we want to prompt in for the camera to pan to the left to reveal a man walking down the road. And go ahead and click Generate. And after a few minutes, it generates this shot here, which, you know, looks pretty natural. It is a little fuzzy. I think you'd want to throw that through Project Starlight. And if you haven't used Project Starlight yet, you can check out the tutorial over on our YouTube channel where we talked about how to use that tool to basically extrapolate maximum quality. But you can see, like, generally speaking, it did follow the direction that we're looking for. And so it did a pretty decent job. Now, the cool thing is inside of Luma, you do have the ability to upscale to more resolution. So to do that, all you have to do is click on the upscale button, make sure you're in 4K and click create. And after a few minutes, it'll give you a higher resolution version of that clip. Here we go. I know it's a little hard to tell on YouTube, but there is just more fidelity and quality there, so not too bad. And I want to do another test here. So we have shot number 1 here and then shot number 2. Basically, the idea is I want the camera to come down from that dirt road onto this woman riding this motorcycle. And here is our final result. And you know, you can see it's a pretty dynamic camera movement. There's definitely some wonkiness. Like, first and foremost, she just appears out of nowhere, like Doctor Strange style. So not too sure what's happening there. But the actual camera movement going from really high to like tracking with the motorcycle, all of that extra parallaxing, it is interesting. It's not quite there, and definitely the road completely changes in the scene. But it is pretty impressive that it was able to stitch all of that together with such a dynamic camera movement. Having extra tools like this that allow us to direct our scenes in a specific way is super helpful because it allows you to have maximum control over your outputs. In the world of distribution, there was a big announcement from Amazon Prime this last week where they said they are actually going to use AI-powered dubbing programs to translate movies and shows for a global audience. So it's in a limited beta right now, but basically they're taking 12 different titles and they're going to translate it into both English and Latin American Spanish. And I should note that it's not entirely automatic. While the base is generated, they are having humans go in and reprompt and fix certain areas, but using an AI system, they're just saving a lot of time and bringing more titles into more languages. In video generation news, the team at Fal.ai has announced that they have introduced VO2 to their model. You'll find a link below this video, but basically all you have to do is go to the Fal website and click on the VO2 image to video. And we can go ahead and bring in our image here. So we'll use that same live action cinematic shot of the warrior. And then we can just say a woman holding a sword smiles as she looks into the camera, super basic. And we will also make sure that our generation is for the right duration. We'll say 5 seconds, that's totally fine, and go ahead and click run. So after a few seconds, we get this result here. And you can see that the camera movement is really dynamic. In fact, it understands the physical continuity of the hand behind the other hand in a really interesting way. And I think it just did an amazing job. Like, there's a lot of expression in that character. So yeah, pretty decent job. I don't know if that sword, that looks like maybe like a medieval sword as opposed to a samurai sword, but still pretty darn cool. And then finally, we have this video of this woman riding a motorcycle. And it's in slow motion, which I'm not a big fan of. I really like it when the AI video tools actually give you something in live action real-time speed, but it did a pretty good job, especially with the hair flapping. It, has realistic physics. So decent job from Veo 2. And speaking of AI video models, we heard a really interesting announcement from the team at Moon Valley. So if you're not familiar with Moon Valley, it actually released and was announced, seems like a little over a year ago, as an AI animation tool, but then they kind of went back into stealth mode, and they've been working on a custom video model that has basically been trained on content that they have the rights to train on. So the big appeal is, if you use this new video model called Mary, you have the rights to the content that was generated. It's pretty cool, and it was created in partnership with Asteria, which is an AI studio out here in Hollywood. We don't actually have access to test the tool just yet, but the announcement page has some pretty interesting video examples. So here's this first shot of this guy. He's just like looking down in the rain. First thing you'll notice is there's a ton of fidelity. So it seems like the model outputs just really nice HD results. It doesn't look super kind of distorted. It doesn't have a lot of that artifacting that you see in other tools like Luma that we talked about earlier. So you can see it actually looks pretty good. I think some of the physics on the water, like the water around the nose, it looks kind of goopy compared to some of the other water artifacts. So not 100% realistic there, but still pretty decent. They also say that it has dynamic motion. So you can see this character kind of turns around and seems to have decent object continuity there. So pretty decent job. They also say that it's really good at adhering to prompts. So they have this long prompt here of like this old guy walking down a hallway, and yeah, he's just like living life. All right. Maybe this was trained on some video of Hugh Hefner. I'm not entirely sure. And they also say they have the ability to do composable layers. So I'm not entirely sure if that means 2.5D or you have the ability to do in painting and things like that. But some pretty cool, like 3D dynamic, I don't know, sci-fi shots here. Again, it is kind of hard to judge how good this model is, especially because the announcement video, the clips are like 1 to 2 seconds long. And even in that 1 to 2 seconds, there's usually something a little off with each shot. But I think the shot that is most interesting to me is the golden record shot towards the end of the video. You actually can compare that to the golden record shot from Sora that Paul Trillo worked on about a year ago. And you can see that it's somewhat similar. That original sequence from Sora was like absolutely mind-blowing. Seems like in this new model, it's not quite as good, but it's so hard to tell from these initial videos that we will be super excited to hop in and actually start messing around with the tool. And speaking of OpenAI, we actually came across some news this last week where Critterz, which was an early AI short film by Chad Nelson, where he used DALL-E to make one of the very first AI animated short films, that project has actually been greenlit to turn into a feature film. The project is going to be produced by Vertigo Films and Native Foreign, and Nick Cleverov, who was a judge in our AI advertising competition, will actually be one of the leads working on it. Now, I actually contacted Chad earlier today to get his feedback on how he's approaching this project, and he said that this project is going to be 100% human-led, utilizing AI as a tool to expand creative possibilities. And they're going to bring in writers, animators, editors, concept artists, and really make it a collaborative project to create something impressive. Now, the thing that makes this really interesting is OpenAI up to this point is not a Hollywood studio, but they are clearly working on projects to contextualize their tools in a storytelling pipeline. I imagine that we'll see more announcements like this from companies that might be slightly adjacent to Hollywood in the near future. In image generation news, there's another image generator that has hit the market. It's called Icon 2 by Nex AI. And the thing that makes this one interesting is they say that it really outperforms DeepSeek. So again, DeepSeek came in and they disrupted the AI stock market in the United States. And these people are saying that it's even better and faster than that tool. Apparently, it was created by a 6-person team at 1/6 of the cost of other AI models. And in terms of overall realism, it seems like it's better than Flux Dev, but not as good as Flux Ultra or Midjourney. So kind of between those two tools. But we have some cool examples from El Cine over on X. For example, we have this first one here of this person biking in a mountainside, and yeah, looks pretty good. We have this shot here of this bird sitting on this branch, and yeah, looks pretty realistic. And we have the shot of this F1 car here, and you can totally tell it's AI because the letters on the back is just bananas. In white paper news, we saw an announcement that really blew our minds this last week. It's called Gen 3C, and it is a project that's been worked on by NVIDIA that basically gives you precise camera control in your AI videos. So right now, if you want to control your camera using AI video, you either have to go through a crazy 3D grayscale to up-resing workflow using like UI, which is super complex, or you just need to type in a prompt or utilize some of those presets inside of tools like Runway. But the problem is it doesn't give you precise control over the camera movements. That is where this feature comes into play. Basically, all you do is upload an image into the system, and it creates an interesting point cloud that allows you to set a keyframe for the direction you want the camera to move. Then you can go ahead and click render and get a result. So for example, here's our quick result from a keyframed camera. You can see it goes around the tree and it understands the 3D world that it's walking around. It did a pretty decent job. So there are some pretty interesting results over on the white papers website. No word on when the code will actually be here to test for yourself, but you can imagine a lot of times when we see white papers like this, it's only a few months until you actually have the ability to utilize tools like this in more user-facing capacities. So I would not be surprised if you saw this inside of Google VO, Runway, Luma in the near future. We came across a very interesting tool this last week that allows you to upload pictures of a product and prompt to get that product again and again. Now, that's not something new. We actually teach that technique in our AI advertising course. The thing that makes this interesting is the quality actually looks pretty darn good, and it seems like there's a lot of fidelity from the product shots that are generated. So there's a pretty interesting commercial over on their website where they show the process of basically uploading the reference imagery and then generating the same product again and again. And you can see that it allows you to kind of change the angle and then create high-res creative content for your advertising projects. There's some pretty cool examples over on their website. They mainly are focusing on this kind of beauty product aesthetic on the website, so I would be curious to test it with other products like clothing. But the thing that makes this really unique is it actually has all of the text and language on the product itself in the generation. And it seems like it was not composited, like it literally generated the images with the text on it, which is really, really impressive. The team at MoveAI has updated to Gen 2, which basically gives you more spatial motion capture points. So if you're not already familiar with MoveAI, basically you can upload a video clip and then it will motion track the character in that video and give you all that information so that you can work on an animated project with all of those rigged points. And it just streamlines the process when you're working on an animated project. So you can see here, we have characters that are fully rigged and it actually seems pretty smooth without too much slippage there. And the other thing that makes it really interesting is it has the ability to recognize multiple cameras from a video clip, which I think is pretty cool. It seems like with this update, MoveAI is really positioning themselves as a big competitor to other character tracking tools like Wonder Dynamics. Staying inside the world of AI animation, there's also a new tool called Euthana that basically allows you to type in a prompt and get movement from the tool. Essentially, you have the ability to just type in a prompt, it will animate the character, and then you can download the movement data as an FBX or GLB file to work with them inside of tools like Maya, Blender, Unreal, Unity, things like that. They also have an animation library similar to Mixamo that allows you to basically just search for movements if you don't want to just prompt alone. In the example video, they actually prompted for very specific movements. So they had the character run and turn 90 degrees, and you see we have the character, he runs, he turns 90 degrees, character's doing jumping jacks, attacking with a sword, and yeah, the motion seems very dynamic and interesting. In tutorial and breakdown news, there were a couple tutorials and breakdowns this last week that I think you should know about. The first one was created by Albert Bozesan, who is one of the instructors of our AI animation course. He basically worked on a viral project where he used video in painting to create a VFX scene and basically create a landscape and elements that weren't actually present in the live action footage. The thing that makes this really interesting is the tutorial will teach you how to take those live action elements and add in other things into the scene that are created utilizing AI. I highly recommend checking it out. Again, it's here on this YouTube channel, or you can find a link in the description of this video. The next breakdown that I think you should check out is a very dynamic breakdown of a project called Kuko by Trillos. So Paul is one of the most talented AI artists in the world, and he actually worked with a team of illustrators, 2D animators, 3D animators, and basically AI technicians to create an original project that was based on the drawings of an LA-based artist named Paul Flores. So they took these drawings by Paul Flores and trained a custom model on those drawings to allow them to create new assets again and again. They also did some pretty interesting processes with 2.5D and 3D conversions. They also did style transfers to give the whole thing just a sense of cohesion as opposed to that kind of plasticky animated look that can happen a lot whenever you're working on an AI animation project. So it's a very cool project, a very cool breakdown. I highly recommend checking it out. The team that put together the T2 remake last year is back at it again. So the project is spearheaded by Nim Perez, who is a great friend and a fantastic AI filmmaker. He basically is collaborating with a bunch of different artists to create a feature-length film that actually will take the audience and put them into the film while you watch it. You have quite a few artists from Curious Refuge like Jagger, Fred, and Min, along with some incredible artists from around the industry, including Promise Studios, including Metapuppet and Uncanny Harry. I'm very excited to see this final film. We'll let you know when tickets go on sale. And then finally, there's a brand new AI film studio that popped up out here in Hollywood called Staircase Studios. So this project is spearheaded by Puya Shabazian, who is known as being a producer on the Divergent series. So they actually released a teaser film this last week called The Woman with Red Hair. You can check out the project for yourself by clicking the link below this video. It's pretty wild because they've actually pledged to create 30 low-budget projects in the next 3 to 4 years. So that's a lot of projects. Super excited to see the work that comes from them. I also want to give a hat tip to Brett Stewart, who is a Curious Refuge alumni. Brett's an awesome guy, and we wish you the best of luck with your projects. I want to give you a quick reminder that the submission deadline for our AI animation competition ends on March 28th. If you want to enter for your chance to win up to $7,000 in prize money and your face printed on a potato, I highly recommend checking out the rules over on our website. We're grateful to be partnered up with Promise for this competition, and we've even asked a special judge, Rob Minkoff, who is the co-director of The Lion King, to analyze the submissions. We can't wait to see the incredible work he put together. We are super excited to announce the second annual AI filmmaking party at NAB in partnership with Fabric AI and Open Art. This year's party will be on Sunday, April 6th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the BattleBots Arena in Las Vegas. This year's competition will look slightly different than the contest last year, so be sure to click the link near this video to learn more information and register to attend the event. You'll find more information on how you can participate or just show up as a spectator. This event is going to be super fun, and Curious Refuge is providing cash prizes to the winners, so we'll see you there. There are a ton of AI film events happening around the world right now. Again, you can always go to the AI film events page over on Curious Refuge. Today at South by Southwest in Austin is the AIFF Festival. There are a ton of people who will be at this event that are my own personal heroes in the world of AI filmmaking. You have Kevin, who's the instructor of our new advanced AI animation course. Ike from Curious Refuge will be there, along with so many talented people from around the industry. If you happen to be at that event, send me a picture. I would love to include you in next week's web show. And we're also hosting a Curious Refuge meetup in Atlanta on March 18th. If you're in the Atlanta area, we would love to see you at that event. And again, if you ever want to host your own meetup with the AI filmmaking community, be sure to drop us a line. You can fill out a very quick form over on the AI Film Events page, and we would love to work with you to bring artists together in your community. And that brings us to our AI Films of the Week. The first film that I want to shout out is called Recursion by James D. Phillips. The project has these haunting visuals. They did a really good job with prompting and giving consistency in their shots. So fantastic job on that project, James. The next project that I want to highlight is an ad by Rufus Blackwell called Nature Hits Different. They basically combined generative AI with live action footage to create one of the more impressive AI ads that I've seen up to this point. In fact, I would say it probably is the most impressive ad that I've seen that integrates AI in a really fun way along with live action footage, and it actually works. Like, it feels like a really solid, cohesive advertisement. So really good job on that project, Rufus. And then finally, I want to give a shout out to Henry Daubrez for his project, Kiddo. Henry is like quickly becoming one of the best AI animators that are out there. He actually put together that Kitsune project, which was absolutely mind-blowing. He also shares a lot of his process online, which is super, super generous. And it basically is just kind of this anime style opening short. Clearly, he's fantastic at prompting and communicating what he wants from the final result inside of the AI tools. So fantastic work on that project. And then finally, I came across a really funny story about a church that used AI for their actual service. So they created AI versions of Jesus and Satan along with pastors, and they basically had all of these AI systems talking together. So they utilized ChatGPT, Suno, Synesthesia, and Akul for actual face swapping. Apparently, the pastor that was working on this experiment, whenever he went to ChatGPT and was asking for dialogue between Jesus and Satan talking to each other, the system said they wouldn't do it, but then he explained that he's a pastor and it's totally fine. And ChatGPT was like, okay, fine. It created the script. So not too sure how often you go to church and have AI versions of Jesus and Satan talking to each other, but this seems unique to say the least. Thank you so much for watching this episode of AI Film News. Of course, if you want to get AI Film News sent directly to your inbox, you can subscribe to our newsletter over at Curious Refuge. And if you want to get the latest tutorials and techniques directly here on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for being an awesome member of this community. What an episode this week. We will see you next time.